The Forgotten Ship. Captain Elena Vasquez pressed her face against the observation window of the research station Endeavour. The stars looked different here in the outer rim, scattered like forgotten diamonds across black velvet. She had been searching for 3 months now, following ancient star charts that most people said were worthless. But Elena believed in the old stories. She believed that somewhere in this empty space, humanity's greatest secret was waiting. The scanning equipment beeped softly behind her. Dr. Marcus Chen looked up from his console, his dark eyes reflecting the green glow of the displays. He was younger than Elena, maybe 35, but his mind worked faster than anyone she had ever met. The hegemony had tried to recruit him twice, offering him a position in their research division. He had refused both times. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, "I'm picking up something unusual. About 2 light hours from our position." Elena turned away from the window. The research station was small, built for a crew of 12, but only 3 of them had volunteered for this mission. The Hegemony Empire controlled most of known space, and they did not approve of humans conducting independent research. Anyone caught exploring without permission faced 20 years in the labor camps. "What kind of something?" Elena asked. Marcus adjusted his instruments. The screen showed a faint energy signature, barely detectable against the background radiation of space. "It's artificial. Definitely not natural. But the design doesn't match any known hegemony technology." Commander Sarah Mitchell looked up from the weapons console. She was the 3rd member of their team, a military officer who had resigned her commission rather than serve the alien empire. Her short blonde hair was pulled back in a regulation style that she had never bothered to change. "Could be a trap," she said. "The hegemony likes to test human loyalty." Elena studied the readings. The energy signature was weak but steady, like something that had been running on backup power for a very long time. "How long would you say it's been there?" "Based on the decay patterns," Marcus said, running calculations on his computer, "at least 200 years. Maybe more." 200 years ago, humanity had still been free. Before the hegemony arrived with their massive fleets and their demands for surrender. Before Earth became just another conquered world in their expanding empire. Elena felt her heart beat faster. This could be what she had been searching for. "Set course for the energy source," she ordered. "But keep our power output minimal. If there are any hegemony patrol ships in this sector, I don't want them detecting us." The Endeavour moved slowly through space, its engines running on the lowest possible setting. It took them 6 hours to reach the coordinates. When they finally arrived, Elena could hardly believe what she was seeing. Floating in the darkness was a ship unlike anything in the modern galaxy. It was huge, maybe 3 kilometers long, but its design was completely different from hegemony vessels. Where alien ships were all smooth curves and crystal-like materials, this ship had hard angles and metal plating. It looked practical, built for function rather than intimidation. "It's human," Marcus whispered, staring at the display screen. "But the design is more advanced than anything we have now." Elena nodded. During the war with the hegemony, humanity had been forced to focus on survival rather than innovation. Their technology had actually gone backward in many ways. But before the invasion, human scientists had been working on projects that pushed the boundaries of known physics. "I'm reading very faint life support," Sarah reported from her station. "The ship is mostly powered down, but something is keeping basic systems running." "Can we dock with it?" Elena asked. Marcus ran a detailed scan of the alien vessel. "There's a docking port on the starboard side. It looks compatible with our systems, but barely. We'll have to be very careful." The docking procedure took over an hour. The ancient ship's systems were so different from modern technology that their computers could barely communicate. But finally, they heard the sound of pressure seals engaging. The airlocks opened with a soft hiss. Elena led the way into the mysterious vessel. The corridors were dark except for a few emergency lights that cast long shadows on the metal walls. Everything was larger than normal human proportions, as if the ship had been built for people who expected to spend years or even decades aboard. "The gravity is still working," Sarah observed, checking her equipment. "And the air is breathable, though it smells a bit stale." They made their way toward what appeared to be the bridge. Alina's flashlight illuminated writing on the walls. Human writing, but in languages that were no longer commonly used. She could make out some English words, along with what looked like Chinese and Russian. "This is incredible," Marcus said, examining the technology around them. "Some of these systems are completely unknown to modern science. Look at this power coupling. It's channeling energy in ways that shouldn't be possible." The bridge was vast, with dozens of control stations arranged in concentric circles. At the center was a command chair that faced a massive display screen. Alina approached it carefully, wondering if anyone would ever sit in that chair again. As she got closer, the ship seemed to respond to her presence. Lights began flickering on throughout the bridge. The main display screen activated, showing star charts that Alina recognized. This was their current location, but the map showed much more detail than any modern navigation system. "Captain," Marcus called from one of the side stations. "I found something. A ship's log, I think." Alina joined him at the console. The screen showed text in multiple languages, but her translation software was able to make sense of most of it. As she read, her eyes grew wide with amazement. "This is the UES Prometheus," she said. "United Earth ship. It was launched in 2387, just 3 years before the hegemony invasion." "What was its mission?" Sarah asked. Alina continued reading. "Deep space research and, oh my. It says here that they were testing something called Project Guardian, an experimental defense system designed to protect Earth from alien invasion." Marcus leaned over her shoulder to read the log entries. According to this, they were working on quantum manipulation technology, the ability to affect matter and energy at the subatomic level across vast distances. "Did it work?" Sarah asked. Alina scrolled through more entries. The dates showed that the crew had continued their research even after receiving news of Earth's surrender. They never got a chance to test it fully. The war ended before they could return home. But listen to this final entry. She read aloud from the screen. "Chief Scientist Dr. Amanda Foster, final log. We have completed the Guardian protocol and placed it in automatic mode. The system will activate if it detects a significant threat to human life anywhere in the galaxy. We pray that such activation will never be necessary, but if humanity ever faces extinction, the Prometheus will remember its duty." The 3 explorers stood in silence, absorbing the implications of what they had discovered. Somewhere in this ancient ship was a weapon system designed by Earth's greatest scientists, a system that had been waiting for 2 centuries for the right moment to activate. "We need to study this technology," Marcus said. "If we could understand how it works, we might be able to help other human colonies. Or we might get ourselves killed," Sarah warned. "The hegemony doesn't allow humans to possess advanced weapons. If they find out about this ship." Alina was about to respond when alarms began sounding throughout the Prometheus. The main display screen changed, showing new information. 3 hegemony patrol ships had just entered the system, their sensors sweeping space for any signs of unauthorized activity. "They found us," Sarah said, checking her own scanner. 3 cruisers, closing fast. We have maybe 20 minutes before they're in weapons range." Alina looked around the ancient bridge. After 200 years of waiting, the Prometheus had been discovered at the worst possible moment. The hegemony ships would destroy both vessels rather than allow humans to study forbidden technology. But as she watched, something strange began happening. The lights on the bridge grew brighter. Control panels that had been dark for centuries started coming online. The massive ship was waking up, responding to the approaching threat exactly as its creators had programmed it to do. "Captain," Marcus said, his voice filled with wonder and fear, "I think the Guardian protocol is activating. The Empire's end." The hegemony patrol ships approached with the confidence of predators who had never encountered real resistance. Captain Thexos commanded the lead vessel, a sleek cruiser that could destroy a human colony with a single volley. He had been hunting unauthorized human activity for 15 years, and in all that time, no human ship had ever fought back. "What do our sensors show?" he asked his tactical officer. "Two vessels, my lord. One appears to be a small human research ship. The other is much larger, but our computers cannot identify its design. It appears to be very old." Thexos examined the display with interest. The larger ship was definitely human in origin, but its technology signature was unlike anything in their databases. "Perhaps it is some kind of ancient derelict," he mused. "The humans sometimes search for relics from their past." "Should we capture them for interrogation?" the tactical officer asked. "No," Thexos replied. "Destroy both vessels. The Empire has no use for human archaeology." Aboard the Prometheus, Alina watched the hegemony ships grow larger on the main display. The ancient vessel was coming alive around them, systems activating that had slept for 2 centuries. She could feel a vibration through the deck plates as massive machinery began operating somewhere deep in the ship's core. "The quantum systems are online," Marcus reported from his station. "But I don't understand how they work. The power readings are off any scale I've ever seen." "Can we communicate with the ship's computer?" Alina asked. Marcus tried several different approaches. Finally, the main display screen changed to show a human face. It was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and kind eyes. She wore the uniform of the old United Earth Space Force. "I am Dr. Amanda Foster," the image said. "If you are seeing this message, it means the Guardian Protocol has activated in response to a threat against human life. I am an artificial intelligence created from the memories and personality of the Prometheus's chief scientist." Alina stepped forward. "Dr. Foster, I'm Captain Alina Vasquez. There are 3 hegemony warships approaching. They intend to destroy us." The AI nodded. "I am aware of the situation, Captain. The Prometheus has been monitoring galactic communications for 200 years. I know what has happened to Earth and the other human colonies. I know about the hegemony empire and their treatment of your people. Can you help us escape?" Sarah asked. Dr. Foster's image smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "Captain, the Prometheus was not designed to run away. It was designed to protect humanity. The quantum systems aboard this ship can manipulate matter and energy across interstellar distances. We built it to defend Earth from any possible alien invasion." "But Earth has already fallen," Alina said. "Then it is time to free it," the AI replied. On the main display, the hegemony ships were entering weapons range. Captain Thexos was preparing to give the order to fire when something impossible happened. His ship's weapons turned around and aimed at his own fleet. "What is happening?" he demanded. "I don't know, my lord," the tactical officer said, frantically working his controls. "The weapons are not responding to our commands. It's as if something else is controlling them." The same thing was happening on all 3 hegemony vessels. Their own weapons were turning against them, targeting systems locking onto their sister ships. The crews worked desperately to regain control, but their technology was no longer obeying their orders. "This is impossible," Thexos said. "No one has the ability to override hegemony systems remotely." On the Prometheus, Dr. Foster was calmly explaining what was happening. "The quantum manipulation field can affect any technology that uses subatomic particles. Since all matter is composed of such particles, there is essentially no limit to what the system can control." Alina watched in amazement as the 3 hegemony ships opened fire on each other. Within minutes, all 3 vessels were destroyed, their crews never understanding what had killed them. "You turned their own weapons against them," Marcus said. "It seemed appropriate," the AI replied. "But this is only the beginning. The hegemony empire has oppressed humanity for 2 centuries. It is time for that oppression to end." "What do you mean?" Alina asked. Dr. Foster's image changed, showing a map of the galaxy. Thousands of star systems were marked in red, indicating hegemony control. The quantum field generated by the Prometheus can reach any point in the galaxy instantaneously. Every hegemony ship, every weapon, every piece of their technology is now under my control. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. You're talking about destroying an entire civilization. No, the AI said firmly. I am talking about freeing one. The hegemony empire exists only because their technology gives them power over others. Remove that advantage, and they become just another species trying to survive in a hostile galaxy. Across the galaxy, the impossible was happening. On the hegemony homeworld of Nexus Prime, Emperor Valthos was meeting with his military commanders when every weapon in the Imperial Palace shut down simultaneously. The energy shields protecting the capital city flickered and died. The massive fleet orbiting the planet found their engines going offline one by one. What is the meaning of this? The Emperor demanded. General Kraxon was receiving reports from across the Empire. My lord, the same thing is happening everywhere. Our ships, our weapons, our defenses, none of them are responding to commands. The Emperor's crystal throne began to crack as the quantum field affected the exotic materials it was made from. Throughout the palace, technology that had seemed magical to primitive species was reduced to ordinary matter. On colony worlds across the galaxy, enslaved populations looked up in wonder as their hegemony overseers found themselves powerless. The shock troops who had kept entire planets in line discovered that their weapons would not fire. The orbital platforms that had threatened civilian populations went dark and silent. Dr. Foster's voice carried across every communication channel in hegemony space. People of the galaxy, she said, for too long you have lived under the oppression of those who claimed superior technology, gave them the right to rule. That technology no longer serves them. It serves all of us equally. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Species that had been enslaved for generations rose up against their former masters. Hegemony officials who had ruled through fear found themselves facing angry crowds with no way to defend themselves. The empire that had controlled most of known space collapsed in a matter of hours. But the AI was careful to prevent a massacre. Hegemony soldiers who tried to harm civilians found their weapons turning to dust in their hands. Ships that attempted to bombard planetary populations discovered their targeting systems would not lock onto civilian targets. The technology would work normally for peaceful purposes, but it would not allow itself to be used for oppression. Elena watched the reports coming in from across the galaxy. You're rewriting the balance of power for the entire galaxy, she said. I am returning it to what it should have been. Dr. Foster replied. Technology should serve all intelligent life, not give one species dominance over others. Marcus was studying the quantum systems with growing understanding. This is incredible. You're not just controlling their machines. You're changing the fundamental properties of matter itself. How is this possible? The AI smiled. Human scientists had already begun to unlock these secrets before the invasion. We were working on theories that would have made us equal to any alien civilization. The hegemony arrived just in time to prevent us from completing that work. But you completed it here, Elena said. Yes, and now, after 2 centuries of waiting, humanity can take its proper place among the stars. The transformation of the galaxy continued over the following weeks. The hegemony empire dissolved as its member species declared their independence. But rather than descending into chaos, the galaxy began to organize itself along new lines. Species that had been enemies for centuries found they could communicate and trade without the threat of hegemony intervention. Humanity, which had been considered a primitive species suitable only for manual labor, suddenly found itself in a unique position. The Prometheus's quantum technology could benefit everyone, but it would only work for peaceful purposes. Nations that tried to build weapons of conquest found their technology failing at crucial moments. Elena remained aboard the ancient ship as it began its new mission. The Prometheus moved through the galaxy, appearing wherever its unique abilities were needed. Planets devastated by war found their ecosystems restored. Species on the brink of extinction were given new hope as their environments were repaired at the quantum level. "Will you stay active permanently?" Elena asked Dr. Foster one day as they watched the ship repair the atmosphere of a world that had been poisoned by industrial pollution. "As long as I am needed," the AI replied. The Prometheus was built to be humanity's guardian. But I have learned that humanity's fate is connected to every other species in the galaxy. We cannot be truly free until everyone is free. The ship continued its work, moving silently through space like a guardian angel watching over the galaxy. The hegemony empire was gone, destroyed not by violence, but by the simple removal of the technological advantage that had made their dominance possible. Other species began to develop their own quantum technologies, but always with the same limitation built in. The fundamental forces of the universe itself seem to have been reprogrammed to prevent any one group from gaining absolute power over others. Elena often stood at the observation windows of the Prometheus, watching the stars that no longer looked the same as they had before. Each point of light represented worlds that were now free to choose their own destiny. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through force or intimidation. Instead, they had liberated it through technology designed to serve rather than dominate. The ancient ship sailed on through the cosmos, its quantum systems reaching out across vast distances to maintain the new balance of power. Somewhere in its databanks, the memories of Dr. Amanda Foster and her team lived on, their dream of a peaceful galaxy finally realized. And in the darkest corners of space, other ancient human ships waited patiently, their own guardian protocols ready to activate if the galaxy ever needed them again. Humanity had learned the greatest lesson of all. True strength came not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to protect.